Hi guys, today we are going to discuss this problem, alright? It's Codeforces Round 606, problem D. So as always, let's introduce this problem by explaining the input. Right? So there are four cases here. So this one, this two, this three, this four. And for each test cases, it gives us a number. This number is the number of streams following this number, right? So it's 4 streams. Each of the streams is binary stream, so it only has 0 and 1 inside the stream. So the output for each test case is first the number of operations we need to operate on the test case, right? For the first test case is 1, and the following number is the index of the string that we need to operate on. So the operation is to reverse the stream. So for this stream, its reverse is 1110, right? For this stream, its reverse is 1100, right? So eventually, we want to put all of the streams in this way. So for the first stream, we can choose any of this, right? For example, we can choose the first stream as the first stream in our final result. And for the second stream, we need to choose a stream that begin with the end character of our last string, right? In this case, is 1. So the next string we need to choose must start with 1, right? So we only have one option, that is the second string. Then for the third string, we still need to choose a string that starts with the last character, right? Which is 0 here. So we can choose either of the two, right? In this case, we choose the third string, right? So at last, we need to, there is only one option for us, but it starts with 0, but we need it start with 1, right? In this case, we need to reverse the last string and reverse it to 1110. So therefore, we have a valid end result. In this case, we reverse only one string, right? So the end result is 1, and we reverse the fourth string, but its example reverse the third string. That's essentially the same, right? Because the third string started with 0 and ended with 1, and the same as the fourth string, it started with 0 and ended with 1. So we only need to reverse one of these streams, so that we can put those streams in order, right? So let's look at the second example, right? We have 3 streams here, right? So which stream do we put first? Let's just randomly choose one, right? The first one. And the second one, we must choose 0, because the first stream ended with 0, right? So for the second string we choose 0. And for the third string, we can't put a third string here because it started with 1 and ended with 1. So even if we reverse it, we cannot put it here. And we cannot put this string at anywhere, right? We cannot put it here, cannot put it here, because both of other two strings are started and ended with 0. So we have no solution to this case. So we output -1 here, right? I hope I introduced the problem correctly. If not, please read the description of the problem. And we are going to move on. So for this problem, we have 4 types of strings, right? We don't really care what's the character in between of the strings, right? We only care the start character and the ending character, right? Those characters in between we don't really care. So in this case, we have 4 types of strings. One is started with 0, ended with 0, right? That's type 0. And we have another one that is started with 0 and ended with 1, right? That's type 1. And started with 1, ended with 0. That's type 2, right? And started with 1, ended with 1. That is type 3, right? We only have 4 types of strings. And then we can conclude that we only have 2 cases for all of our test cases. One of the case is that we have 0 number of type 1 string, right? And we have 0 number of type 2 string. We do not have these 2 kinds of strings in our input. In this case, if we choose a type 3 string as the first, then we cannot put a type 0 into the array anymore, because the type 3 ended with 1, but type 0 started with 0. So these 2 kinds of strings cannot put together, right? So we can conclude that if number of type 1 is bigger. One second, I think I made a mistake here. We should change this to 0, right? And change this to 3, right? If we have let's say we have 1 type 0 and 1 type 1, it is not possible we get the final array, right? So if one of them is 0, then we can make sure there are only a single type of string in the input. For example, if we only have type 3 in the input, we can get a final array like this, right? we can just put all of the streams consecutively to each other, right? And that is the final answer. And we don't really need to reverse any stream, right? So the answer is 0. And that is the first case. And for the second case is that we at least have one type of type 1. And or if we have more than 0 number of type 2, right? So we at least have a stream like this, or have a stream like this. In this case, we can just put all of the type 0 streams behind this type 2 stream, and put all of the type 3 streams before the type 2 stream, right? So for type 3 and type 0, we don't need to worry about it anymore, right? So if we in this case, we only need to worry about type 1 and type 2, right? So as we can see, we need to put type 1 stream and type 2 stream in a fashion like this, right? So if we put them like this, the end of the last stream will surely be the same as the start of the next stream, right? They surely be equal, right? Because they are each other's reverse, right? So in this case, we have, let's say we have n type 1 and n type 2, and n is bigger than n. In this case, we only need to change some type 1 into type 2. We do this by reverse it, right? So we do this reverse until the difference between type 1 and type 2 less than 1, right? If the difference is less than 1, we can be sure that we can put the type 1 and the type 2 streams in this way, right? Let's say if we have 2 type 2 and 1 type 1, 2 type 1, we can put it like this. So their difference is 0, right? If their difference is 1, we can put it like this, right? So the type 1 is 3 and the type 2 is 2, so their difference is 1, and we can put it in a valid way, right? So I guess that's it, and we can look at the code, right? So this is a code. First, we read in all the streams, right? We need to count each type of stream, right? X here is the type of stream, right? So if it start with the 0, end with the 0, then we increment the counter of type 0 by 1, right? So this part, this guy y is the opposite of the opposite type of the current streams type. What I mean by that is that if current type is 0, 0, then its opposite is 1, 1. And if current type is 0, 1, its opposite is 1, 0, right? So why do we need to know its opposite? Because each of the string can only appear once in the answer, right? So if a string is already appeared in our input, we cannot reverse another string and make it the same as the string in the input, right? That's a constraint described by the problem, right? So the appear here is just to make sure of that. After we read in all the input, we need to make sure that if the number of type 1 and the number of type 2 are both 0, we can just output the answer, right? So if not, we need to get which one is bigger and which one is smaller, and based on the comparison, we need to transform the bigger type into the smaller type, right? So we transform sometimes until the difference between the counter of the two is less or equal than 1, right? So if we cannot do that, we just need to output -1. If we can do that, we just need to output the number of reverse, right? So I guess that's it. Thank you for watching.